Someone told me yesterday there was a story of a lady that came to the end of her life, and her dying words were that she regretted telling herself all her life that she wasn't good enough. And this is something that I think most people suffer from, thinking they're not good enough. So I've been reflecting on this and what this means, the implications of this, and living a life with this voice, this negative critic, in the inner critic. A few conclusions I've come to. I think one is that the mind is a tool for critiquing, and that's its job, to analyse and calculate and formulate and make sense of the world. And that's its limit, the mind, in a way. When it's left unchecked and allowed to do this by itself, it will lead to a point of where it's constantly criticising, and it only knows its job of being able to critique and interpret. So if there's nothing left for it to interpret because it's not being checked or managed like the incredibly powerful machine that it is, then it'll just sit there in the background whirring away, doing its job naturally. And in this case that I'm talking about, if it's left unchecked, it'll just carry on criticising, and it'll be criticising you in the background, and it does most of us, and it brings us down. It lowers our self-esteem. It tells us that life is bad and it's not worth living, and it gives us complexes and very subtle energies that preside in the background when we're interacting with people, when we're starting a new project, when we're getting ideas and inspiration. The mind is there in the background going, well, you better be careful, this could fail, and oh, are you sure, and why are you saying that? That's not good enough. All those characteristics of the mind are there. So we don't want to end up like that lady at the end of her life, regretting living a life, telling herself that she's not good enough. So in meditation, when we practice the art of watching the mind and how it works, what we're doing is exercising that faculty, that ability to observe the negative mind, or observe the mind doing its thing, but in relation to what we want to do to live a good life, it's very often negative. So by exercising this ability, we're able to more often be aware of its presence in our interactions, and with the knowledge that that's its limitation, then we don't have to control our inspirations and our interactions and our work and our fun and endeavours and relationships, all those things. We don't have to control them. We can simply let them be, by the power of knowing that the mind is there, and it will try and tell you that you're not good enough and what you're doing isn't good enough, and try and lower your self-esteem. It will do that, but by having a regular meditation practice, what you're doing is raising your own awareness of this, and you will find that you're more confident and you're living a life that you want to live over time, and you will find moments of happiness, deep happiness. Remember when you were a child or a young person and you had moments of just bliss and freedom and abandon. This is all possible as an adult. For those of you who think that it's not, it is. There are many people actually living an adult life of fun and joy and abandon, and more than that, a very thorough and rambunctious life, even full of energy, bursting energy, inspiration and wisdom and love, and these qualities are the signs of a good life, and everybody can be living a good life despite the circumstances that we find ourselves in, which are very trying, which in essence is all the more reason to have a practice when you're finding life trying and testing and challenging, especially in these times that we're in, very unprecedented times where we're isolated from each other, even our closest family members, and it's very unhealthy to keep away. But in a sense, by drawing into acceptance, you might find that actually your values change, or your values are being changed, and it's possible that you're actually drawing closer to your family members that you're missing by drawing closer to yourself. And this is where the spiritual journey starts, is by drawing closer to yourself and going inward and accepting what's been given and what's being presented, what circumstances you have, what you find yourself in. And I wish you all the best in that.